Welcome to my next video. This is a video tutorial session on Unity. So this is our basic introduction to Unity. So we have the Unity hub here, which should have already been installed. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to New. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a 3D project. And in here, we'll just give it a name. So I'll give it a name. And I want it in a good location. I really want it on my C drive because that's where it's going to be faster. I don't really want it on my on the cloud because it's going to be running pretty quick. And this is our Unity interface. And so what we've got here is we've got our hierarchy, we've got our assets area, we've got our inspector area, and this is where the scene is, and you can actually see the game area here. So if you do click in here, you won't be able to do things that you expect to do. It really needs to be, most of our work needs to be done in the scene area. So we want to actually get some textures in here, we want to make some assets, etc. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to make a very simple game. So what we want to do is we want to add some textures here. So let's have a look. So I have a textures folder here, and I have some pre-selected textures that I've got. So I've got this one, and water, etc. I'm just going to drag all of those in. I don't actually want that one. So we'll just drag those into the actual folder. And so now we can see these textures have gone in to this particular assets folder. I can then right click, create a folder, and this is my new folder. I'm going to call it textures. There we go. And I'm just going to grab those and I'm going to drag them into that folder. And so now they're in there and I can come back. So here's my scenes, go back to my assets, textures, there's my textures. So what I now want to do is I want to create a plane in here. So let's go up to game object, 3D object, and we're going to make a plane. And this plane actually has a position at 0, 0, 0. If your position is not at 0, 0, 0, I would just quickly put in 0, type in 0 into those positions, and keep your rotation at 0, 0, 0. In this scale is 0, 0, 0. In fact, scale I might actually improve, so I'll go 5 there and 5 in the Z, and so this gives me a much bigger plane to be able to play around with. I'm just going to go into my textures here, and I'm going to look for a particular texture. I could choose any of these textures. I tend to like to put something that looks nice, and this blue marble looks nice. I like the look of that. Okay. So there is the space where my character is going to run around in. And it's going to be a very simple character. So let's put the character in. So we go to game object, 3D object, and we're going to put in a capsule as the object. And if you can see here, this is our capsule. And you'll see how it is not quite what we want. So up here we've got rotation tools, we've got different kinds of tools. The tool we actually want is this one here. I'm just going to, oops, undo that. We're just going to grab our capsule, there it is, and we're just going to raise him up so that he's just slightly above the base, so he's not falling through the base. And you'll notice how I'm able to actually move around. So how am I moving around? What I'm doing is I'm right clicking my mouse until it gets to a kind of I button, and now I can press my W and my S to have a look at it. Now I want him slightly higher than that. There we go, there he is, and he's 1.53, so he's just off the base there. He's just slightly bigger than the base there. So that's going to be my character, and I'm going to give him a wood texture, so I'll click in there, and he has got a wood texture now. He looks kind of nice. That's what he looks like. So now I want him to move around. So let's have a look. If I was to click over here, I can click on my capsule. I can click on my plane. I can rename my capsule, and I'm going to rename him character. Character 1. Okay. And my plane I'm going to rename, and I'm going to call it ground. And so clicking on my character there. So you can see he's got a name up here now in the inspector. So when I click on there, it changes to ground. Click on here, it changes to character. So let's have a look right through. We can see we've got a collider. We've got a mesh renderer. And if I was to untick that, he would disappear. If I was to get rid of the collider, you'll see how this green thing on my character disappears. And that's about it. So I'm just going to hide those. See that? Just going to the actual ability to drop down those boxes and just make that mesh renderer there, capsule mesh renderer, and we do want to see the transform position. But what we want to do is we now want to make this little code that will make him go backwards and forwards. So let's add a component over here. Add component, and we're going to call this a new script, and we're going to call it movement. Okay, and click on new script. It's called new movement. Create and add. So what this does, you'll see that it's added a script over here. See, it's called script and it's called movement. If I was to double click, this opens up Visual Studio, and this is what it does. So this is Visual Studio. I want you to notice some things. When I made that particular script, this is what it made. It made a void start and update, and it added the Unity engine and the systems collection and the systems collections generic. It added a mono behavior called movement. So we can now add some things to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the start, just delete that, and I've got void update. I'm going to do some programming now. I'm going to put some code into this update. So let's start typing. If, open brackets, input dot get key down. So we've got get key down, open brackets, key code dot right arrow, close brackets, close brackets. And with that if, we're going to transform dot position. So we're going to change the position at this point. And we're going to do plus or equal to vector 3 dot right. Make sure we've got that. So if input get key down, key code, not key void, key code, right arrow, transform position, vector key right. Let's have a look at that again. So what I can now do is I can take that code, press Control C, go down here, and I'm just going to do it a few times. I'm going to do it 4 times. And instead of get key down, right arrow, we're going to make this left arrow. We're going to make this one down here up arrow, and we're going to make this one down here down arrow. Down arrow. So we've got down arrow here, up arrow here, left arrow there, right arrow there. And then we're going to say, instead of right at that point, we're going to go left. And then we're going to go up arrow is going to go back. And the forward arrow, the down arrow, instead of right, it's going to go, oh, that one's going to go back. we'll make this one go forward. So there is our code. Let's have a look at it very carefully. Make sure that we haven't got some spelling mistakes, because it's so easy to put some spelling mistakes in. So let's have a look at this. If input, that's capital I, get key down, capital G, capital K, capital D, key code, capital K, capital C, and then right arrow, capital R, capital A, transform or lowercase, position or lowercase, plus equals vector 3 dot right. So the vector 3 is the engine that's going to make it run. Okay, so then we've got left, forward, back, and we've got down arrow, up arrow, left arrow, right arrow. So now go up to File and Save All. And you see, as it's saved all, it's looked for any errors, and we can see that all this green area suggests that we've got our code correct. So now, if I just minimize that, it's going to go over here and load that script. So let's run that. And I can now press my right arrow, left arrow, so this is forward, back, left, and right. So that's our first tutorial on making our character move backwards and forwards.